Let's be honest, Jeremy Doku ran the game for Manchester City. However, there were a few tactical elements from Manchester City that completely decimated Liverpool. Let's explore what transpired in the game. Manchester City being the blue, and Liverpool being the red, Manchester City approached the game in a 4-3-1 formation that had for the most part midfield players that would be more than happy to rotate in the center of the pitch. But more of that later. During build-up, City would build up in a back 2-4 shape where we would see Nico O'Reilly and Matheus Nunes push upfield, and for the midfield 4. Liverpool were not particularly aggressively press City. They would look to push high up whenever City would drop deep and play the ball to Donnarumma, their goalkeeper. This is when we would see Liverpool push their press higher up. This, however, did not seem to faze Manchester City, as they would easily be able to bypass the initial lines of press for the most part. This was due to Manchester City's ability to fluidly rotate and drop deep multiple players like Chekri, Foden, Bernardo and so on. This would mean that Liverpool had to constantly be on the lookout for space in between themselves where a City player would pop up. Not only this, but they also had to manage the spaces occupied, meaning they needed to constantly shuffle and move around, moving upfield. Manchester City would have both fullbacks push upfield and maintain the width for the most part, whilst Chekri and Jeremy Doku would attack the half spaces. Philip Foden would float around in the center of the pitch and he would be aided by Bernardo Silva. City players were able to fluidly rotate in the center of the pitch. This seemed a tactical decision from City as early on. It seemed as though City would look to hit Liverpool on the transition with direct runs from Jeremy Doku in particular. Liverpool would then drop deeper and nullify the space that City looked to attack. That is when we would begin to see City players rotate fluently, which would look to dismantle Liverpool's defensive. However, the same thing then began to happen to City, as Liverpool would then look to attack the space in behind City, especially through Mohamed Salah. Ekitike would drop deep at times looking to link up play. City would, like Liverpool, adapt, and more often than not whenever they were bypassed, they would drop deep, because Liverpool had no creative central players upfield. This meant that they would struggle to break down City's defensive shape, but the main problem for Liverpool would be that they would defensively find it difficult to manage the space that City looked to attack. Liverpool would look to defend in a 4-3-1 shape. This shape upfield would not have too much trouble, up until City would manage to press resist their way through Liverpool's defense. Then on the transition, because at times Liverpool would push up looking to press, they would leave open spaces deep. That is where Manchester City would then fluently attack Liverpool. Liverpool would more often than not struggle to effectively defend these pockets of space due to the City player rotations we spoke of earlier, especially Jeremy Doku, because even when Liverpool were deep, he would be too much to hand for the Liverpool right-back Conor Bradley. So in the second half we would see Liverpool look to have the double up on Doku. But this was not enough to stop the Belgian, as he was able to bypass even to Liverpool defending players, as if there was only one. In the second half we would see Liverpool being to improve their central pressing capability. This would at times make it more challenging for City to build up, so later on in the game we would see that City struggled to have as much possession as they did earlier on. This game was comfortably won by Manchester City, not only on the scoreboard, but also tactically. City were able to better execute their game plan and exploiting Liverpool's defensive weakness. Not only this, City were able to well defend in this game, which led to them being able to nullify Liverpool's attack for the most part. Liverpool, on the other hand, found it incredibly challenging to defend Manchester City's counter-attacking play. Not only this, but their press resistance also was a challenge for Liverpool to overcome, which they found it hard to do. Final score: Manchester City 3, Liverpool 0.